So 8-1 and 8-2 is due on Wednesday night, midnight. So we are going, we did 8-1 on last Wednesday, so we're going to continue with 8-2 today. So anyone here has any questions on 8.1? Anyone here any questions on 8.1? Anyone? It's law of sine. So today we'll talk about law of cosine. Anyone have any questions for the 8.1 homework? Okay. So I am going to show an announcement here. So share the screen. The first announcement I want to point out to you guys is we do have a student math week coming up this coming Friday, November 5. The starting time is 12 and ends at 1 p.m. It's in CLA 116. What is this student math week? This student math week has 20 multiple choice questions. Where if you answer it correct, you get a positive 2 points. If you answer it wrong, it will be subtracted 0.5 points away. So that means if you do not know the answer, you better not to answer it because you can get a negative total points. So we have 2 rounds, fall and spring. So for the 4 rounds is this Friday at November 5. They do have some cash money going on. So it's $25 cash dollars for the first place. Second place is 15 and third place is 10. So I usually do have this math lead test every year, but since COVID, we don't have it. So if you are interested for this class, you may attend or you may join this student math lead test. It's not just for the prize here. This will also add it to your second test as an extra credit. So in test 2, the extra credit is on the student math test. So when you guys do the test 2 is in around 2 weeks. Okay, so test 2 is around 2 weeks. So it's around 2 weeks from today, the week before Thanksgiving. So for this student math lead test, make sure you come and participate. And if you did come and show up and do the test, and the tests are actually a bit more challenging and a bit more difficult. But if you guys want to, rise to occasion, be my guest. So if you score a 0 or negative points, I won't add you. There's no extra credit for you. That means I want you guys to try this. So don't just show up. I got students just show up and just take all C, and then go. Okay. Do not do that, because if you do that, I won't give you you won't get any extra credit in your test 2. I won't give you any extra credit at all. Okay. So please, I want you to try some questions. If you want to see the old math lead test, I do have them with me, so you just let me know, I can give to you. So 0, any negative points or 0 that if you came and take this test and you got this kind of points, total points, you get a 0, or you just come in and take all the C's answers and then leave in 10 minutes, you probably won't get any points I will give to the test. I really want you to try this. If you get any positive points, so any positive points, it will count towards your extra credits for test 2. What is it? What do I mean by this is that if you score a positive 4, then you will get 4 points added to your test 2. Okay. Don't forget, these tests are super difficult. You only can do this in 1 hour. So for me, I think my highest points I get is like 16 or 17. I didn't even answer all of them. Okay, in 1 hour. So I would recommend, yeah. So please come for this if you guys want extra credit, because test 2 there is no extra credit like what I did in test 1. The only extra credit is this math league test. So please come during this Friday and try your best to do this. It does have trick questions on it. So like sine and cosine stuff for that. Make sure you guys try your best on this one. And they're all multiple choice. So there are 20 questions. So try your best to do this. And then, and if you need some old tests, just let me know. And any positive extra credit, any positive points you get as a total points will be added to your test as an extra credit. Anyone have any questions for me with this math league test? And then on top, if you're lucky, if you're in the first, second, and third place, you get some cash too. Not a lot, but some. Anyone have any questions here? Anyone have any questions in this case? Or with the math league test? Okay, and make sure also if you take it in the fall, wait to announcement for spring. I will send you another email for spring, so you guys can take it in the spring too. And usually we add total points, so we got more points in this case. Anyone have any questions for me with the math league test? This is going to be on I will put this in D12 so you guys can see this flyer. Is in CIE 116 this Friday from 12 to 1 o'clock, and these are your cash prize here. Okay. All right. Anyone have any homework questions for me for 8.1? Anyone have any homework questions for me for 8.1, law of sine? Okay. So we're going to continue with 8.2. So 8.2 is law of cosine. Law of cosine can only be used in two types of triangle, SSS and SAS. Okay, that means the triangles give you all three sides, or they give you a side angle side. This is law of cosine. So usually I tell my students is law of cosine is only good for these two triangles, SSS and SAS. The rest of the triangles will go to law of sine. Okay. The formula for law of cosine looks very similar like the Pythagorean theorem. A squared equals to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. So how do I remember this? Is the B and C that we use, you have to subtract 2BC and then you do the cosine of A in this case. And the A is an angle. So a lot of students forget to take the square root. So make sure that in order for you to find the A, you have to take the square root of it, okay, or B or C. So this is the standard form. Okay, if you know one, you should know the other two, because this is A squared, you just change to B squared. So B squared equals to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine B. So again, the AC comes from the right side and the cosine B comes from the left side of the equation. And then same thing with this case, C squared equals to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. So this is what we call as a standard form. This standard form is used if you want to find the side of the triangles. Okay, if you want to find the sides, you do that. Alternative form is when you try to take this and you solve for cosine A. So if you solve for cosine A, you will get the alternative form. So if you move the B squared and C squared over to the other side and then divide by negative 2BC, you end up with cosine A equals to B squared plus C squared minus A squared over by 2BC. Same thing with cosine B and cosine C. And do not forget, this alternative form is used if you want to find the angles. So make sure you guys know which form to pick in order for you to solve for each case. And then for this, don't forget to take the square root. Okay. For this, don't forget to do the arc cosine of it. So a lot of students, in order for you to solve to get your angle A, B, and C, your cosine has to move over. And once you move over, you have to take the arc cosine of it. So do not forget to do that. This is the law of cosine. Okay. On 8.1, you study how you find an area of a triangle. If I give you the two length and angle, and the formula to find it is 1/2 BC sine A, or 1/2 AB sine C, or 1/2 AC sine B. This is used if you know two sides. So this is given two sides and an angle. Okay, so this is given two sides and an angle. Okay, that's why the AC is the sides and then B is the angle. So we have another formula here to find the area. We call it the Heron's area formula. This formula is as old as Pythagorean, is back in ancient Egyptian. This is where if a triangle is given you all three sides, okay, not like two sides and an angle. So that means they give you any triangles that is given you all three sides. We can use this Heron triangles, and the Heron's area triangle in this find the area of a triangle is square root of s times x minus a times s minus b times s minus c, where s in this case is a plus b plus c over 2. Okay, I just want to point out to you, a lot of students make mistake on this Heron's area formula is they think this is over 3 because there are three sides A, B, C, but this is actually over 2. And yes, none of this formula is provided in your test, so you need to know this formula. Make sure you guys know the formula here. And again, make sure you practice this so you will be able to figure it out. Okay, so more practice. So chapter 8 mostly is you have to know your formulas here. So in the test, usually I do not call you to figure out, I won't call you to use law of cosine. I would just say solve the triangle and round in 2 decimal place. How do we do this is first is as what we did in 8.1 is we draw the triangles out. Okay, so in order for us to do the first question, okay, so we are doing the first question here in 8.2. So you do need to draw me the triangles. So this is A, this is B, this is C. Again, how you make sure you know how you label it because it's very important. Okay. This is A, B, C. This is a small lowercase, means they are the sides. So across from the angle A is 11. Across from angle B is 15, and across from angle C is 21. So in this case, they provide us what we call as an SSS triangles because they give you all three sides. So we begin to use law of cosine here. You just need to figure out what is angle A, B, and C. That is the formula here. Since we have figured out the angle, so we need to use the alternate formulas here. Means that you have to use this formula. Okay, so we have to use this formula to figure out your A, B, and C, not the standard form, the alternate form. So in order for us to figure out A, you just do, see, this is cosine A. So this is usually how I remember without looking at the formula here, is you take the two of them, the one that forms angle A here, which is 15 and 21, you square them and add them. So 15 squared plus 21 squared. So this is how I remember my formula, because this is your B and this is your C. So the formula is B squared plus C squared minus A squared. So the one that forms angle A, you add them up, you square them and add them up, and then you subtract by the one that is across from angle A. So that's 11 squared. And then over by 2 times BC, the one that forms this angle A, so 15 and 21. So this is how I remember my formula. Okay, I don't remember this. I just look at the picture and then I just found what two sides form that angle. You square them and add them up and then subtract it from the one across it, and then over by 2 times 15 times 21. Now, how do you put this in your calculator? Class, be careful how you put this in your calculator because a lot of students make it wrong in your calculator. First thing first is you need to have an extra 2 parentheses on the top and the bottom. So when you guys use your calculator, make sure you guys use a parenthesis. So you have parenthesized the top and then divided by the parenthesis on the bottom. So I want you guys to go ahead, take out your calculator and punch these numbers out. And make sure you use parentheses. Yep, take out your calculator. Anyone got an answer for this? Anyone got an answer? Yep. Again, because Damon, that is correct. Unfortunately, you cannot put 0.865 as what Damon's put it down. This is the correct answer. But however, because this is not your final answer, you cannot round it. So you actually have to put all the decimals representation. But the good news is you have an ANS button in your calculator. So we are still not done yet because we need to find angle A. So in this case, we have to do the arc cosine of this. So what you do in your calculator now, once you get this 0.865, 0.079, something like that, on the decimals, you just need to replace that with ANS. So so with your calculator, you just take arc cosine of ANS, and you will get your angle A answer. Okay, arc cosine of your ANS. Make sure you have a degree, not radian form. So this is 30.1. Now you can round this because this is your final answer. And don't forget, this question won 2 decimal place. So Nick should be 30.11 here. Okay, so it's 30.11 degrees. Okay, so so this is correct. Make sure I want 2 decimal place. Now, class, I want you guys to pay really attention here. This is something that I want to tell you guys. So do not make this mistake in your test because you will get it wrong. So a lot of students say, oh, I found angle A, which is 30.11. So now I can use law of sine to do to find B. So sine B over 15 is equals to we know sine A, sine 30.11 over by 11. So a lot of students, you think about this, they will think I can use law of sine in this case to find angle B. The answer in this case is no. Okay. The reason why that you cannot use law of sine to find this is because this is an ambiguous case. Law of sine, when you use law of sine, you will have 2 answers or 2 triangles. So you need to figure out which is the correct triangles to use. So that's the reason why that you cannot use law of sine in this case. The reason why is because of the ambiguous case that you learned in 8.1. So you have to stick back with law of cosine to find angle B or angle C. So let me repeat again. This is something a lot of you do in my test and a lot of you will get wrong. Is because the angle is not a small angle. Sometimes it can be a big angle. So I just want to point out to you guys, just be careful with this and do not use law of sine. If you stick with law of cosine, finish the whole problem with law of cosine. If you start with law of sine, finish the whole problem with law of sine. Do not switch around, law of cosine and switch law of sine. You will get it wrong. Okay, that's very important. A lot of students do that in my test and they end up wrong. So so we're still gonna use law of cosine to find B. So can someone tell me, how do you find angle B? Which sides form angle B? Which side forms angle B?
Would it be the left one?
There are two sides, right, that form angle B. Can you tell me what numbers are those?
21 and 11.
So those numbers is the one that you square them and add them up. That's the formula. And you subtract the one that across it, 15, and you square it. That's the formula for this alternative form. Okay. And then you take 2 times the one that form angle B, 11 and 21. Again, doesn't matter which one you do first. And don't forget in your calculator to put what? Parentheses on it. Okay. So go ahead, use your calculator to figure out angle B in this case. Anyone got an answer for angle B? And again, they're all in degrees.
43.16.
43.16, thank you, that is correct. You guys good? And the last one is the angle C. Now, since we know angle A and angle B, you do not need to use law of cosine to find angle C. You can use law of cosine, you need to 15 squared plus 11 squared and minus 21 squared and then over by 2 times 15 times that. You can do that, but the fastest way to find angle C, anyone know what's the fastest way to find angle C here without, though, if not using law of cosine? Anyone?
Oh, you just like subtract angle A and B from 180.
You are correct. So in order for you to, this is the fastest way. You take 180, subtract, you take those angles and subtract from 180. You're correct. So you subtract from minus 30.11 degrees and minus the 43.16. This is the fastest way to find the remain angles. Okay, so do not, I mean, you can use law of cosine. You're just wasting a bit more time here because in your test, time is your enemy. So that is 106.73. You guys all right here? Questions for me, how we do these questions? Anyone? It's not that tough, but it's work. It's work, I can tell you that. So hopefully you guys can do this homework. Hopefully the second test you guys will do a bit better than the first one. The second test, the difficult part is chapter 7.4 and 7.5. Once you hit 8, the vectors a bit tricky, but law of sine and law of cosine is pretty much straightforward type. Okay, so so what we did in question 1 here is using the alternative form because we are finding the angles. So now we will use the standard form because we haven't done the standard form yet. So that will be question 2. So usually if I give you 3 sides, alternative forms comes out. But for the standard form is I give you SAS, side angle side. Usually then you have to use an alternate form to do it. So I like question 2 here. So again, class, please draw me the triangles every time you do this in the test. This is angle A, angle B, and angle C. And again, you can switch your angle ABC around, but make sure you know where the sides goes. This one is 10 degrees and 35 minutes. So as you know that your calculator doesn't have minutes, so you need to convert this into degrees. Can someone tell me how you convert 10 degrees 35 minutes to just degree? Anyone remember?
We do divide by 60.
Yep. So you take 10 plus 35 divided by 60. So this is how you figure out this angle B here is you take 10 plus 35 over 60. So leave it this form. Do not use your, because when you use a calculator, this is bunch of decimals. You cannot round this because that is not your final answers. So just leave it as 10 plus 35 over 60, you know, as your angle B here. Angle A, which is right across, is 40. And angle C, which is right across side C, side C in this case is 30. So what is missing here is angle A, angle B, angle C, and the sides B here. So these are all missing piece here. Can someone tell me what kind of triangle is this called? What kind of triangle is this called?
SAS.
This is the side angle side because you know the side and the angle and the side, and side angle side is used law of cosine. Okay, so what you need to do here, class, is we have to find angle side B first, because the two sides are known, so the side B is missing. So how do we do find side B is using this standard form of a law of cosine. So I can show you I can show you how we do it without looking at the formula. You can use a formula, but as you know that no formula provided. So you just square these two below and add it up. So you take 30 squares, 30 and 40, yep. So 30 square plus 40 square minus 2 times 30 times 40 times cosine of the angle that you have here, 10 plus 35 over 60. And once you put all this in your calculator, you just need to take the square root of it. Don't forget the square root. So go ahead, take out your calculator, do 30 square plus 40 square minus 2 times 30 times 40 times cosine 10 plus 35 60. And class, please use the multiply symbol. Don't use the parentheses here, okay? You only use parentheses for the cosine. So I think your calculator has the multiply symbol, right? The multiply. So use the multiply symbols instead of parentheses here. So go ahead, everyone, please take out your calculator and figure out what is side B in this case. And if you use a graphing calculators, if you use a graphing calculators, I will allow you to use a graphing calculators for this test too. So those who are, you can use your graphing calculators. If you have a graphing calculators, you are allowed to. If you don't have, you can use your scientific calculator too. Doesn't matter. Yes. So Nicholas, what you get?
Is it 11.87?
Yep, that is correct. Anyone here has any questions or have any problems? Difficult to find this? Again, it's very heavily on calculator base here. Okay. Now we need to find angle A. Okay, and again, do not use law of sine here because you say, oh, this looks like I know the other side, so sine of that, you know, will be, and then do not do that. You might get it wrong because of the ambiguous case again. So how do we figure out angle A? In this case, we use law of cosine again. We still use law of cosine. So cosine A. Can someone tell me what sides form angle A here. It will be B and 30, right? And B is the one that we just found. So if you have your calculator, that will be answer squared, which is the same thing as your B squared here. Okay, so you can use 11.87, but then it's a little bit off. If you put in your online homework, they might mark you wrong because when you square something, the error is getting bigger. So I would recommend just use answer square plus 30 square. So this is the two sides that form angle A. The one that across it, you minus 40 square. And then you take 2 times ANS, which is in this case your B. Okay, this is your ANS in this case, times 30. So we're going to use ANS in this case. And don't forget, we need calculate. We need a parenthesis like what we did earlier. And then after that, once you finish typing this, you move the cosine over to do the arc cosine. So go ahead and use your calculator to figure this one out. Okay, so I would recommend use ANS here for your side B. If you use 11.87 in my test, I still giving you correct. You still get full points here. And the reason why I'm using ANS is for your online homework. They are very picky with they want to be really exact. So be careful with all these little roundings they have. Okay, so try to stay away from roundings here. Anyone have any questions for me? Calculators? Anyone go ahead and answer for A? Angle A?
Would it be 141.75?
Yep, that is correct, Danny. Anyone have any questions or problems getting these angles? And don't forget, ANS means your previous answer. So if you didn't get 141.75, then your ANS here has to be replaced back by 11.87. Otherwise, you get all these answers. Anyone have any questions with me? And angle C, it'll be easy to find, right? So you just take 180 subtracted by minus the two of those, 141.75. And then minus, because this is a special one, so we put parentheses, 10 plus 35 over 60, because that fellow is in a DMS form, so we will use a parenthesis in this case. Again, you can use ANS in this case, because that's your previous answer. So I'm trying to teach you guys the fastest way to enter in your calculators, and make sure you have parentheses on this the last fraction, the last angle B here. Otherwise, you get it wrong. So this angle C is what, 27.67 degrees. Anyone any questions for me here? Anyone have any questions? Right. So we will be this question 4 and 5 is what I want you guys to do. This is something that you will get in my test 2. Okay, in my test 2, the first thing I will ask you is determine is this law of sine or law of cosine is used. So you have to figure out which law is it using, law of sine or law of cosine, and then make sure you solve the triangles. Okay, and you need to solve each triangles. Sometimes you have two triangles or two solutions. then you have to find both of these triangles. If you have one, you find the one. If you have no, you find no. And then you say there's no triangles, and round into decimal place. Just want to point out to you guys that law of cosine is used for SSS and SAS triangles. For law of sine is the rest of the triangles, you know, AAS and so on. But do not forget that SSA is the ambiguous case. What is the ambiguous case means? It means you can have no triangle or no solution, one triangle or two triangles. So make sure you guys be careful with this. So I want you guys to write question 4 and 5 out, because that is your work here you have to do for me. So go ahead and put you guys in groups. Write this question 4 and question 5. Please, everyone, please write these two questions out. Make sure you know which is a lowercase and which one is uppercase. If you're lazy to write, take out your cell phone and take a picture of it. Then you can at least get a this again. This two is your work. Like, the reason why is because it is in your test too, and this worth 6 to 7 points in your test. Okay. Tell me what law you use is 1 point, and then draw the triangles is the second point, and then the rest is. You do not need to find the area. Okay, the question here did not ask you to find area. Same thing in your test. You do not need to find the area for this triangle because the question did not mention it. So please do not find the area. You guys ready? If I put you guys in groups, so put in 4 groups here. You guys took a picture of the. You can use your cell phone, take a picture of it, and make sure you have your. I'm going to stop sharing here. You guys good? Okay. I'll give you one more minutes. Take a picture of this, because you're going to do question 4 and question 5 together. Okay. I'm going to put you guys in groups now. All right, please go to your groups. Are you there? Are you? Are you? Are you? Are you there? Questions, anyone in this room? Questions?
I don't have any questions.
You guys working? You guys got the questions, right? The question 4 and 5?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Please work on it. If you have questions, let me know. Please talk among yourself also. Be super quiet. I'll be back.
So when we solve for side B, we're not supposed to round that one, are we? Are we, are we trying to keep it in its exact form when we put into the other formula?
I recommend you to use the exact form or the exact answer to put into our formula. But if you want to round like to 2 decimal place, I'm okay too. Just your online work will be mark you wrong because you got a little bit off.
Okay, so on the test, we'll be able to do that,
Mhm.
but it's just for online homework, we
Yep.
shouldn't.
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm. Yep. So I'm not picky with that. Your online homework is.
alright.
Just want to tell you that so that I got a lot of students email me regarding with that. Was like, why my answer is wrong. It's like 0.02 degrees off or 0.02 units, just a little bit off. So I will talk when we go back to our class. So try to work on these questions
Okay,
and make sure you tell me what law to use. Is it law of sine or law of cosine? So you want to shortcut LOS or LC? Right?
One, we're using law of cosine, right?
Jakub, Adrian, what do you think?
I use law of cosine.
yeah, I use law of cosine,
Okay.
because it was side angle side.
I'll be back. Questions in this group? Questions? Do not forget to tell me what law you use. Is that LS, law of sine, or is that LC, law of cosine? Okay, in a test, please make sure to tell me what law to use.
Is it like point deductions if you don't say what law you're using?
You'll be 1 point deduction.
Oh, okay.
So make sure you
And
say that.
Do you know how many tests, did you say how many tests, how many points are on the test?
I do not. I haven't set up the test yet, so I do not know.
Oh, okay.
But this question is around 6 to 7 points.
Okay.
That I know. That I know because you have to do a lot of work here. So, okay. Anyone
Alright.
have any? Anyone know what is question number 4? What is the law you use? Law of. Question
Is it
4.
the law of cosine?
Law of cosine. You say law of cosine. Anders, Nicholas, and Danny, do you agree? Oh, Danny, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Okay, Anders say yes. Nick, Danny. Danny's like working the whole thing already. This is law of cosine because this is SAS triangles. Don't forget SSS and SAS is for law of cosine. Good. Yep. I'll be back. Questions on the question 4? Anyone? Question 4? What law is it? You have to tell me what law you use. Law of sine or law of cosine for question 4? Any one of you?
Law of cosine?
Law of cosine. Dosia, Abdi, Kate.
I'm using the law of cosine too.
Okay, good. So that is correct. Law of cosine is correct. If you use law of sine, that's wrong. This is a SAS triangle, so law of cosine will be used. Yep. Go ahead and talk among yourself, and don't forget you got 2 questions to do: question 4 and question 5. Okay. Anyone have any questions for me? Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be back. So this is question for, we're still waiting for people to come back. Game just only question 4.
So I'm kind of confused on what's the difference between side angle and then side angle side.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that. Right, so these guys are back. So what is the difference between side angle side triangle and side angle triangle, right, Danny?
Yeah. Yep.
A side angle side means I have to give you a side and an angle and a side. This is side angle side. They're all like, you know, they are, the angle is in between the two sides. You see that? The side angle is where I give you two sides in a row like this and an angle. This is called a side angle triangles. Okay. Or it can be like this. This is also side angle. Okay. A side angle side means I have to give you the angle and the two sides of this. This is called SAS. And this is called SSA. And SAS are law of cosine. SSA is law of sine, and this is ambiguous, means you can have 1, 0, 1, 2 triangles. Daniel, you get it, this one?
Yeah, so like the difference is like side angle side, like those two sides, they make up the angle.
You are
And then
correct.
Side angle is it's
There's
like
a makeup.
only like one of those sides. Yeah.
Yep, there's a makeup. The angle does not make up these two sides. The angle is on the other side of the two sides. Either this one or this one. If I give you this one, this is also side angle. Okay. Or you can use angle side, but I do not want to use that. So angle side. Angle side and side angle is the same. Okay. You okay there?
Yeah, thank you.
So we're gonna talk about question number 4. So question number 4, do you guys this is a side angle side because the question provide us the side 5 for C, and then angle B is 40 and the side A is 8. So this is called a side angle side, law of cosine. So again, I want to tell you again in your test, this picture worth 1 point. The law of cosine or law of sine worth another point. So those students who did not tell me what law to use, I will take points off. So be careful with this. Tell me what law is it. In the test, it worth a point. So this worth a point. And then finding B and finding A worth 2 points, and then finding C is 1 point because this is the easy to find. So well, the easiest one is only 1 point. So this is around 2, 4, 6, 7 points, 6, 7 points in this case. Does anyone got side B is 55.26? You use law of cosine to find it. And angle A is 102.38 and angle C is 37.62. Do you guys got these 3 answers here? Using your groups. Okay, good. You guys good? Before I put you guys to do question 5. You guys good? Okay, so I'm gonna put you guys have a question for number 5, right? So I'm gonna put you guys back in number 5. Now you're gonna do number 5 with groups again. You guys good, right? We're gonna move a little bit faster here. Put you guys back in groups. Go ahead and finish up the last question 5 there.
Hey, can I see question number 5 again? I didn't
Mhm.
finish.
Yep. There you go, Cal. If you want, you can take a picture with yourself. That will be quicker.
Okay, thank you.
Should go to, oops, sorry. You guys good for the question 5?
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
Okay.
I'm almost done.
Do you know what law to use? Sine, law of sine or law of cosine?
Law of
Law of
sine.
sign.
That's correct. Okay, let you guys work on it. Anyone have any questions on number 5? Anyone know? Mhm.
So we're going to be using the law of sines for this one.
That is correct. Law of sine would be correct. This is a ASA, angle side angle. You guys, you got time. You got 5 minutes. Any questions for me?
So I'm trying to find out the like what side C equals.
Mm-hmm.
So I did C over the sine of 7
Mm-hmm.
would equals 160 over the sine of A.
What's sine A in this case? What's A?
Yeah, I don't know like what. Oh, okay. So I'll find. Okay.
You
Alright,
gotta
never
find
mind.
angle A. You gotta find
Yeah.
angle A first. Yep.
Okay.
That's the first thing to do. Find angle A first, and then you plug that into that formula. You're correct. Anyone knows how to find angle A? Anyone know how to
You
find
just
angle?
subtract 180 from the two angles.
Yep, that is correct. Yep. Try to do that. And I'll be back. Anyone know what law to use for this question 5?
Sine.
Law of sine. Very good. And do you guys know how to find angle A?
Isn't it 180 minus the other two angles?
That's correct. Yep. Perfect. Good. Okay, you're correct. I hope you guys work out this. You got 3 more minutes to do this. Anyone have any questions for me? I'll be back. Any questions for me for this group? Anyone know what law to use here? Law of sine or law of cosine?
Law of sine.
Okay, that is correct. Yep. Does anyone know how to find angle A?
You subtract the 180 by 7 and 12.
Yep, that is correct. Yep. Go ahead and work. Anyone have any questions? You're correct. Just work it out. You make sure you use law of sine to do this. Any questions for me? You got 2 minutes to finish this question, and I'll leave this room. You guys got question 5? Wait people to come back. This is how we do question 5. This is the answer. So for question number 5, this is called a angle side angle formula triangle. So we use law of sine. This is not ambiguous case, means that it only have one triangles. One triangle doesn't mean so don't forget SSA is the ambiguous case. So in order for you to find angle A is you have to take 180 minus those two given angles. That's 161. And then in order for you to find the side B and side C, you have to use law of sine. B over sine 12 is equals to 160 over sine 161. And then you multiply sine 12 to the other side. So you use your calculator to perform this, and you will get 102.18. That is for the side B. In order for you to find side C, you also need to use law of sine. This is very important, is because I have students, they use Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals to A squared plus B squared. No, you cannot do that. Does anyone know why we cannot use the Pythagorean theorem on this case? You cannot use Pythagorean. Anyone?
Not a right triangle.
Yep, Anders, that is correct, because this is not a right triangle. This is an oblique triangles. So please do not use any your Pythagorean theorem here. Okay. So in order for you to find C, you have to use the law of sine. So in this case, C sine 7. We still use 160 and 161 for the A. So and then you multiply sine 7 here, and then your calculator will give you 59.89. So this is your answer for question 5. You guys all right? So again, this worth like 6-7 points. So I think you will get 1 or 2 of these questions in your test 2. Make sure you know how to do this. Okay. Next questions we're going to move on is number 6. So question 6 is actually using what we call as the using the Heron's area formula to find the area of a triangle. So usually I won't use the word Heron's area formula in your test. I would just say find the area of a triangle. So it's given you 3 sides, A, B, and C. So since they given you all 3 sides, we will be using the Heron's formula, area formulas. Okay, so make sure you guys know that if the question gives you all 3 sides, we use the Heron's area formula here. So the formula is S equals to A plus B plus C over 2, and then the area is the square of S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C. So so first thing is you need to find what is the value of S first. So in this case, you have to take A, which is 75.4. Plus B, which is 52, and then plus B, which is also 52, and then you divide this by 2. And you have to use parentheses here. So make sure you guys, in your calculator, make sure you put parentheses on the ABC here because orders of operation. Okay. So using your calculator, S in this case will be 89.7. So what you need to do is plug this into the formula here. So it's 89.7 square root of 89.7 times 89.7 minus A, which is 75.4. Make sure you put them in parentheses. And then 89.7 minus B, which is 52. And parenthesize it, close it. And then 89.7 minus 52 again, because your C is 52. So you just need to put all this in your calculator. Make sure you put the square root. Don't forget the square root. That will give us So the Heron's area formula is very straightforward formula. The only thing is make sure you know the formula. If your formula is wrong, then everything will be wrong. So that came out to be 1,350.22. This is unit square. So this is the area. So this is how you calculate the area of given you 3 sites. And again, this formula is very, very old. It's like almost 2,000-3,000 years old. At least around it. Anyone have any questions using this area for Heron's area formula? Okay. If I give you this to find the area, do you really need to use the law of sine or law of cosine to figure out your angle A, angle B, angle C? The answer is no. So in a test, do not spend time finding the angle A, B, C here, because the question here did not want you to find the missing value or solve the triangles. They want you to find the area. Anyone have any questions for me with question 6 here to find the areas of a triangle using Heron's formula? Very straightforward. Questions? Right, we'll do one more, which is a word question here. So this is about bearing again. So again, don't forget, bearing is always measured from the north, and then it goes clockwise. Okay, this is called the bearing. So just want to tell you guys that. So so you guys get familiar with it. So we got plane. So if you want to be a pilot, make sure you know this bearing because they use a lot. So question number 7 is saying that we have a plane flight from 810 miles from Franklin to Centerville with a bearing of 75 degrees. So can someone tell me, this is Franklin, and it's gonna go to Centerville. So where is bearing 75 degrees? Is that in quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4? Anyone? Bearing 75 degrees. Again, this question is asked in the test too. Anyone?
Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1. So it will be 75 degrees is over here, and it will be right here, 75 degrees. And it will be reach this place called Centerville. I just put C here. And this two is 810 miles apart. Okay. Can someone tell me what is the angle in green? If that is 75 degrees.
15.
15, because the total is 90, right? So make sure you guys know this basic angles rules. And then, so it reached to Centerville, and then after it reached to Centerville, it flies from Centerville to Rosemont with a bearing of 32 degrees, and they are 648 miles apart. So Centerville to Rosemont. So Rosemont is, where is 32 degrees from Centerville? What quadrant? 1, 2, 3, 4. 32 degrees. Still in quadrant 1, and this fellow is 32 degrees. And you will get into Rosemont. And how far is Centerville to Rosemont? 648 miles. Okay. So now the question is asking us to draw the picture. This is a picture. And you want to find the straight line distance from Franklin to Rosemont. So we need to figure out how far is it from Franklin to Rosemont, X, and the bearing. Now, what is meaning of the bearing from Franklin to Rosemont is this red fellow. I'm gonna put Y. This rate one. It's not 75, it's a little bit less than 75. So this rate angle that you see, that is the bearing, and X was the distance. So let me draw this triangle again. So this triangle will look something like this. Okay. From here to here is 810. From here to here, this is not right angle, 648. This is not right angles. It's just, I just try it like a right angle. So first thing first is you have to figure out what is this angle is. This angle is the same as this angle, right? These two are the same angles here. So if you know this angle, you should say. So can someone tell me what is this angle? How you figure out this angle? Anyone? 30. This is 32. 32 plus what? Add 90. Yep. And then add something else. 90 is this below.
Is it 15?
Yes, 15 because of the alternate interior angles. This is 15. So that little angle here is also 15. So what is 32 plus 90 plus 15? It's not 122, should be one what? 137, right? Okay, this is 137. So now, can someone tell me what kind of triangle is this called? This triangle is called a side angle side. Do you know what law to use? We will use law of cosine, and we can find x because x is this below. Okay. And y is this below. This is y. Okay, we'll talk about y later on. Let's find x first. Can someone tell me how to find x in this case? X is the square root of what? (810) squared plus 648 squared minus 2 times 810 times 648 times cosine of 137. So it's this square times plus this square minus 2 times those two, and then the cosine of 137. Make sure you take the square root of this. Anyone go and answer? Take out your calculator. So x distance is 1,357.85 miles. So this is how the distance from Franklin to Rosemont, the red line. Okay. Now we need to find the bearing. Now, since we know the 75 degrees is here, so if you know this little angle, let's say A, so this is A, then we can find the bearing because the whole, if you add A and Y together, you should get 75 degrees. So now we need to figure out what is angle A is. Since this is a SAS triangles, so we will still use law of cosine to do it. So cosine of A is equals to the angle that form A, which is x and 810. X is this below, so we're going to use a and s squared since it's an equal number, plus 810 squared minus the one that is opposite from it, 648, and then 2 times a and s times 810. And then make sure you put parentheses around, set of parentheses around it. And then once you figure out this, you take the arc cosine. Okay, so you figure out A in this case. So I would recommend you to use the A and S symbol because it will be quicker. Otherwise, you have to, type in all those crazy numbers in there. Parenthesize it, make sure. 810 squared minus 648 squared, and then divided by 2 times A and S times 810. And then you take the arc cosine of this. So this came up to be 18.99. So very close to 19. But we are not looking for angle A, we are looking for the bearing. So in order for us to find the bearing, bearing is that Y value in this case, okay, the Y value. You take 75 minus 8, 18.99. Does anyone know where the 75 comes from? Anyone know where the 75 comes from? $75 comes from the bearing of Franklin to Centerville. So this is the whole bearing is 75. So if you look at the bearing from Y, if you add Y and A out, you get 75. So that's why the 75 came from the bearing here. It's not came from, so it's not always 75. Depends on the questions. So if you subtract this from 75, that would be your answer for the bearing. So the bearing is around 56 degrees. So that would be 56 degrees, around 56. Just make it easier for you guys. Okay. If you want, it will be north 56 degrees east. I mean, if you want to be more precise, it's north 56 degrees east or 56 degrees. I'm fine with it because they are the same thing. So this is how you figure out your length X and the bearing Y here. So make sure you guys understand this is quite, it's in your test, also in test 2. So make sure you guys know how to figure out the bearing here, because a lot of people think that 18.99 is your answer. That is not your answer. You have to subtract it from the earlier bearing, which is 75 degrees here. Okay. So we're gonna end today's Zoom here. Does anyone have any questions for me before we end the Zoom today? Okay. You do have 2 homework due this Wednesday, which will be 8.1 and 8.2. So you have 2 homework due on this Wednesday, 8.1 and 8.2. So make sure you guys try to do those. When you come to class on Wednesday, we'll start 8.3. And just want to remind you again, your next test is 2 weeks from today. So it's 2 weeks from today. And I will tell you more on the next class on Wednesday. And if don't forget, also for the Mathlete test, it's this Friday from 12 to 1. So do come. I'll post all the information in D2L. I would strongly suggest you to come and take the Mathlete test, and that will consider your extra credit points that will be added to your test too. Okay. Anyone have any questions for me before we end the Zoom here?